okay, like I could totally see Team Liquid winning. I have no idea who's the fourth team because both Nightmare and SSG are like evenly paired. So it's an unpredictable region, and me and Sarah were just going crazy.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Siri hard agrees to this one. She's hyped. She is ready. So let's talk about our two teams here. Nightmare and Space Station Gaming. These are quite frankly two teams which are on different kind of trajectories right now. Nightmare kind of trending downwards and SSG is trending up. Let's discuss why that is. Starting with SSG, I feel like they really came alive in the later portion of this stage. Things just started to click from them, right? We've seen them now more leaning into that Orisa composition. They stayed away from the fight switches. They started to look really good, Rich.
I mean, go right ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, my bad, Rich. I was just too.
No, you're good. I know you are. I want you to take Space Station. I want you to do this. I feel that you need it.
Yeah, because last week me and Jake and so we're kind of torn, and I was like SSG, they're my underdog team. I really believe in them. Nightmare, of course, they look great going into this tournament as well. Questions about Team Liquid, but I was like SSG, they've looked shaky. But they really got this. I really believe in them. And so they're just praying for a normal matchup. They just like, we don't want to deal with Baptiste Lifeweaver. Can we please just have a normal matchup? Their dives are fantastic. Their BAP rig is like impeccable. I'm just hoping we get to see them play a normal compositional matchup against Nightmare today.
Yeah, I mean, with Nightmare, the fact that you were mentioning about how, SSG is kind of on this upward trajectory, and then when it comes down to, now Nightmare in that sense, it's almost in sense, not like a spiraling effect, but it just feel that it's trending downward, that, this change up when it comes to the compositions, we aren't really seeing the Freya. Chronic has just been doing so much and bringing so much value on that initially when it came to the season, but because of how things have developed, Rocket still working in tandem alongside it, having this Tracer has been significant, and hoping between the two of them with this back line of Luke Mino and Lep trying to really stabilize and give them an opportunity to, not continue in that downward trajectory. They have to have something in this moment that really puts them up on a pedestal, and hopefully this week leading up to this weekend has been enough time to really communicate between each other to get to that position.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. We'll have to see what Nightmare can bring out in this matchup with Freya on a bit of a downward trajectory. Who's going to step up here for Nightmare? To bring us all the action in this matchup between SSG and Nightmare, we're bringing in Avril and Jaws.
Damn, Johnny doing the throw. Okay, I didn't expect that. I ain't lying. Yeah, it's me and Avril bringing you through this lower bracket semis. Space Station versus Nightmare. Brand new patch, although it didn't really seem to change anything.
I think some of the biggest changes were obviously coming through from the DPS passive side. So the nerf and healing, I don't know how much we're going to see the direct impact in the game, but I bet the tanks will feel. I bet they will feel the difference in the damage they start taking, the amount of healing that comes back into them. But we did get some, like a minor amount of support buffs, notably on the Lucio. I personally think Lucio is going to be one of the heroes of the entire playoffs, just given play rate. I think Briggs' play rate will end up dropping a little bit here. We're going to see a bunch of Lucio Kiriko, a bunch of Lucio BAP. I'd be surprised if anyone didn't play Lucio throughout the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, that healing buff is quite considerable, but yeah, like you talked about, the damage passive being changed, so everybody receives a little less healing when they're afflicted by that. It's hard to tell via the eye test, but when you're actually playing, you definitely feel it. In fact, I asked Seeker coming into this weekend, like, oh, hey, like, what do you think of the patch? Dude sent me a LeBron dunking gif, and I was like, okay, so he feels pretty good. So hopefully Space Station, off the back of... Yeah, I wonder why, right? Off the back of like,
what other hero from Zero's hero pool got massively buffed this patch? I do wonder.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Tracer also got, I wouldn't say the most incredible buff of all time, but considering how little Tracer gets changed, the 5.5 to 6, I mean, Tracer is so back, and Sugar-Free, he's already tearing it up already on that character.
Well, we'll see how this goes, because we're not expecting a Rocket or Sugar-Free to come through on the Symmetra, but we do see the double Freyas because the Sojin ban comes through. First ban, map 1, Nightmare on Busan. No Sojin means we're gonna take this to Freya. That's Chronic's wheelhouse. That's exactly where Nightmare want to win this at.
Yeah, it's worth keeping in mind as well, Nightmare have been boot camping down in Florida. Spoke to some of the Nightmare management the other day, and yeah, having that big boot camp, I'm sure you've seen pictures on social media as well, is definitely going to help the team just push themselves over that line. And that's the first kill. Chronic taking out Seeker on the Freya.
which has been one of Seeker's weaknesses. Unfortunately, Space Station Gaming in the recent couple of weeks that we've seen them, they've been shying away from the fray. Seeker looking far more comfortable in the Sojin. But this probably will be the defining battle, the Chronic versus Seeker battle, where if Sojin isn't available, you have to play this, and more balls coming on through.
Yeah, that Sojin ban is so massive from Nightmare. How's the ban on the other side for Space Station, though, Avril? What do you make of that?
I think it just forces us to play over towards the Orisa. It means that if we end up playing a little bit of dive on some of the other rounds here on Busan, you're going to be looking over towards Winston instead. I don't know if Winston's really going to get played, given how the DPS passive has just kind of made Winston, in my opinion, maybe a bit worse in the healing department, receiving that healing. Orisa, Ram, looking strong on this patch. Both teams great right now.
It's always better, and Arissa's got that in space. Nightmare taking the lead, though. 35% of building. Lucamino has got the rush, and Sugar Free finding it really hard, getting tagged off from this off angle. Didn't want to burn recall too early, but Lucamino stepping up with that rush. Should be a pretty easy match, though, for Space Station. It's going to be all on Chronic and Seeker again to try and find these first kills with these take aims.
Seeker looking for angles, but he has to go through the mid position now. Just can't quite hit a bolt to save his life, though. Needs to do a little bit more burst. Painkiller, though, will be gone.
Yeah, post bomb in the hands of Rocket as well, looking for an extra kill to settle the score here, but Nightmare is still holding on to this point. Looks like they are going to give it up eventually, of course, with Space Station having the Orisa on board, and yep, there it is. There's the flip.
A decent one. Painkiller going down will give the advantage over Space Station. Happily taking that one away. As the Yulin Katsune rushes end up slowly but surely going the way of Space Station. Decent lead, 64 found for Nightmare. Painkiller slightly ahead in the Terror Surge. Still, though, looking towards the neutrals. Chronic, still the play to look out for Nightmare to maybe bring us an early pick.
Sound barrier for both Lep and Baliss. You can see Sugar Free on the sidelines there. Just managed to find a kill, the solo kill by the looks of it too. Onto Rocket.
On two.
Pulse bomb down. Sugar Free kills two. Okay. Sugar back. Ready to rock and roll. I mean, at the end of the day, if Space Station can permanently play this Tracer and trace it in a buff state as well, like, their playoff chances and their chances of making this mid-season are just, like, quadruple.
And it means that Rocket has to step up because Tracer is one of his specialties as well. It's one of the Rocket classics that she's been playing for so long. Solely is capable of doing that last year. Now onto this Nightmare squad who have had great success in this stage. Chronic in this Freya battle we know about, but Sugar Free, like you said, really massive. Rocket did lose his pulse spot. I don't think it even came on through bolt opportunity for Chronic though.
Good flank. Really nice flank. Sound barrier ends up connecting with Chronic as well, who's in the back line. Laser beam for Space Station, but they only hit 4, of course. The Seeker's dead. And now a Terror Surge and a Rush being used by Space Station on this point. Everything invested from Nightmare as well, so it is just about whittling down that Orisa health bar. Painkiller eventually falls as Chronic just unable to even dent the armor of Kellen, who goes golden. Rocket does end up coming up with a kill, in fact, though. This later rush from Lucamino just sustained them a little bit longer, and they get a flip.
Just a flank angle from Chronic shutting down Seeker. I'm not even sure if Seeker got the bowler shot out. Might have been a bowler jacks, but doesn't matter. That ultimate sometimes doesn't find that much value anyway, and Nightmare now in a good position, taking us to the final fight. It's going to be 81 apiece, both sides. Pulse bomb back online for Rocket. Again, didn't get a chance to use it last time, I believe. Came out of his hands, but didn't land anywhere as Sugar Free got that 1v1 kill.
Sugar Free again looking for an entrance on the sideline, shaking Chronic away from these angles. In fact, Chronic going very low in the sky. Sugar Free really unable to shoot the Freya that high, even though, you know, the buff, it's meaningful, but at that distance, not so much. Because the bowler shot from Chronic, not entirely sure where that went. No initial kills from it, so you got to imagine that was maybe just a whiff. Both Tracers throwing in their sound barriers. Seeker looks for an off angle again onto Space Station, and Chronic ends up going down. Seeker finally getting his revenge, and now trying to chase Rocket. Grabs the mega health pack, so Seeker's attention diverted now to the point as Painkiller shot like 4, 5, 6, 7 different people at this point. Guy was just fighting for his life as Space Station find the flip, and OT approaches.
Final fight coming on through. Need fast respawns here from Nightmare. Pressure onto Bliss here. Could be pretty decent, but Rocket going down a low HP.
No recall.
Find the sight though.
Dead. Surely. How's Rocket got out? 70 HP, one more blink, another health pack. How does Rocket get away? There it is. Okay, kill comes through for Sugar Free. No touches here for Nightmare. As Space Station win the round, 100-99.
A massive round for Sugar Free individually as well. Got to commend Seeker on the second half of that for making the comeback happen. Revenge onto Chronic. Importantly, consider where that second to last fight went. It was Sugar Free first, huge damage as you mentioned onto Chronic, forcing him away, and then Seeker eventually finding angles, finding the potential to get his revenge onto Chronic. With Chronic down early, 5v4 enabled, lower numbers in the remaining team fight, Sugar Free starts popping off harder and harder on that Tracer. As you can start to see, I mean, damage for both our Tracers is pretty high, but the eliminations, the actual kills coming through from Sugar Free that we saw was a lot.
Yeah, it looks pretty good for Sugar Free right now. I mean, even look back at previous patch, right? Last season, Sugar Free was farming anyway. Like, Spacestation have really turned it around, considering their performance against teams like Nightmare in the regular season.
Also didn't know that the Seeker was doing plenty of damage, considering the early leads that Chronic had. Left in a lot of trouble here, though. That's already Lamp, gonna be forced out.
Oh, that shit from Lucamino, not quite hitting Lep, as Sugar Free just chases the Lucio down. Very quick team fight here from Spacestation.
No surprises, Sugar Free once again with the cleanup. Seeker in kill feed as well. Spacestation off to a decent lead here.
Wow.
As they trailed at the beginning of the previous round, but as we move into this one, it's looking all nice. As they force out the Lamp from Lucamino, Lep onto low HP, and the instant cleanup. Nightmare just had no chance to fight unless their DPs between Rocket and Chronic could find some sort of reprieve. And Seeker's found so much damage that he's about 30% ahead of Chronic at this stage. Callan, 1 HP.
Suzu, though. Painkiller takes a couple of take-aim shots from the Freya. Now shooting at Kellen's rather large head. Orisa, pretty easy to shoot if you're the Tracer or the other Orisa. Ends up getting boot away from the health pack. Amazing boot from Lep. Denies Kellen of the Mega. They secure the kill with the help of Rocket. Should be a pretty easy cleanup here, but any kind of death here for Nightmare is going to be bad. They're chasing Spacestation into their side of the map currently, though.
Nice follow on balls, but it's actually going to be Chronicle with Sugar Free. We do see both of Freya's dueling their respective Tracers on the opposite end. Still into play. Seeker's not done just yet. He wants to get something out of this.
I'm sorry, Seeker. It does connect. It kills Chronic, but fight's done already. Seeker really thought they could win that, and a nice spear from Kellen actually kills Rocket, so a rather ski-whiffed fight here from Nightmare, losing both DPS.
This Bowler traded for Ant Matrix from Lucamino, so still a positive trade, but time factor is a little bit weird. Like you sort of mentioned, point already went over to Nightmare, and Seeker wanted to extend that fight a little bit. The next fight's going to come on through. Sooner Rush available beat, just about online for Len.
Kellen trying to arc the spear over the cover there to try and hit the bat. Nice bowler shot. Oh, Chronic, yeah, connects directly with Seeker. Splash damage hits Bliss. A nice double kill for the Freya. Good cleanup from Sugar Free, though, onto the Freya, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. As Nightmare get a team kill.
Still really close, so we're into 50s early. This is the 41 from Space Station. A lot of back and forth, but it's a couple fights in a row now for Nightmare. Considering that, once again, Space Station kind of had that late delay. Seeker played in the fight a little bit longer. At the reset, one more time, coming back into the fight. Tsune into the beat, and the beat ends up winning Bliss. I think he ended up getting beat towards the end, but not an opportunity to counter. So this is going to have to be the fight now. Tempo beat might be on the cards.
Nice movement here from Lucamino. He's not been hit by those take aim as Seeker is just diving so extraordinarily deep into the back line. And now isolated. I take that back, actually. Kellen's going to join the fray as well. Seeker, Sugar Free, 1 HP, gets chased down by Rocket. Last bullet there from Lucamino does finish off the Tracer, but once again, Avril, Space Station are on the wrong side of the map. A Nightmare approaching that 100%.
And they're about to get this one as well. Space Station, they're down 1. The respawn's only coming back now. Have to enable this touch. They're going to go for it, but can they find a winning fight?
Seeker dead, Seeker dead, Seeker dead. And there's the round. Good shot from Chronic, shuts down Seeker, stops the touch. And that'll be a round 2 Nightmare.
It's a rough one for Seeker when we start to see, particularly in that second to last fight, really was the last fight considering we barely had a touch towards the end. But he went for a long chase onto Lucamino, couldn't quite find the shots, heavily committed at that point. You know, you just don't want to give it up. Bit of sunk cost fallacy perhaps coming through from Seeker, and he's heavily out of position, punished, enabling the 5 versus 4. Suddenly it starts falling apart for Space Station despite the early beat. Tempo beat coming into play to buy them on towards the point. And then final fight, the actual last one where you have to get that touch in there and extend the OT. Seeker's down super early. Kellen can't quite get there in towards the end, and now gonna go to a decider here onto Busan. It's gonna be a little bit of a change up. Seeker now going over towards the Cass. Chronic as well to follow through. This is a much better look in terms of the matchup. Oh, Kellen's just down already.
Yikes. Yeah, the Freys don't have as much like headroom on this map as you'd like. Ideally, you want an open map completely on the skybox at the very least. And you can get those updrafts pretty nice. But yeah, I mean, Chronic on the Cassidy, kind of a classic. It's going to be an easy cap for Nightmare.
He just picks up where he left off on a previous map. I mean, we dump the Freyas off and you start to think maybe this is an opportunity for Seeker to get an advantage over Chronic. Chronic, well known for that Freya, getting him off the Freya is ideal, and Mechabase is going to call for that, but straight away Chronic just doesn't let up at all. Massive kills.
Oh, what a flashbang! Okay, Chronic. Flashbang preempting Sugar Free coming around the corner. An instant headshot for the Cassidy. Yep. It's not just the Freya you got to be scared of, it's that Cast too. Listen, Seeker at least come up with kills here, but Kellen is alone in the choke currently, so the likelihood of him actually finding any kills here is pretty slim, as Seeker ends up getting chased by rockets.
Our support's alive. The problem is CJ Bliss going down here. Sugar Free's going to make it a little bit more interesting. Not that window was used by Luke here, but point going the way of Nightmare anyway.
Very awkward fight. At least you can see Nightmare like backing down from the choke point, because yeah, like you said, Sugar Free randomly kills Luke Amino. We'll see if Sugar Free can open this one up again. Doesn't want to get too close to Chronic, but forcing that flashbang is going to be ideal. In fact, forcing a lap is even better, arguably. Terror Surge, right on top of the window as Painkiller jumps in, kills Bliss, and Kellen's going to fall as well. Nightmare just extending their lead despite how scrappy these fights look.
Oh, that was perfect from PK, just entirely supersedes the window, goes in front of it, uses Terror Surge, denies the ability for CJ to find any value out of that one, left to come through for a bit of insurance policy on the beat as well to make sure that Nightmare is definitely going to win, and we're already nearly into final fight here, Jack. This is getting a little bit ridiculous. Spacestation needs something to work with.
High Noon denied by the lab. A little bit of damage onto Chronic, but that was it. Oh, good shot onto Seeker though. He'll do. Good little boof by me. Obviously the shot is auto aim. Both Casties are going to fall. Same with Luke Amino as Painkiller makes his way to the point, trying to stall for overtime. And of course, that shield is definitely going to help him. And a good initial kill there onto the Cassidy, but it's not really working out in their favor at all. A pulse block off the shield. What a shield turn there from Painkiller. Blocks the pulse. So Sugar Free and Seeker are going to clean up.
Massive from Sugar Free to come through. Chronic onto the Sombra now. Just to go for the touch. He'll be back on towards Cassidy after his death. Massive for Spacestation to stay alive there. Bliss on the sound barrier. And this is considering the fact that Seeker got killed to the Deadeye. Was a boot from Lep directly sent into the loving sight lines of Chronic. And after Chronic sort of goes down there, Spacestation even up numbers. Kellen will fall. Spacestation hold on due to the heroics coming through from our Tracer of Sugar Free. Now, sign of life, but they're just having to do so much catch up here to catch up to 99.
They've got a window to work with. Maybe push them out of this choke. If you can just get onto high ground here, it's going to be disastrous for Space Station. Space Station end up losing their lamp, and here comes the wraparound for Painkiller. Look at this. Chronic has just forced his way into the backline. The spear connects with CJ. An instant kill after the headshot. It's just Nightmare cleaning this one up. Sugar Free, one more blink left to his name, and Space Station switching onto fast heroes to try and get back to the point in time. But Nightmare, they've got the numbers. Sugar Free manages to get touched, but the likelihood of you coming back here is just astronomical.
Especially with Bliss down, because Bliss was close to sound barrier. I mean, your supports are the only thing that can maybe save you here if you're SSG, but this map is looking all Nightmare, Jack.
It is indeed. Terror Surge on the point, and Pulse Bomb Sugar Free. Their final hurrah there as the lamp does block the damage, and Sugar Free, he can't possibly do more as Nightmare take the first map.
I don't know about you, man, but Chronic looking like at least map 1 MVP there, looking just on the first map, dominant on Freya, dominant on the Cass, expecting more of an even matchup to come through. You would expect that once we move over to Cass or Rissa for Mechabase, remove the Freya from contention. That's where Seeker's going to shine a little bit more, but the tempo early on coming through from Nightmare, they got 99-0 and mostly held that lead until the end. One single flip to come through from the likes of Space Station, some heroics once again from Sugar Free, actually across the board, I want to say, on Busan, but not enough for them to be able to make any meaningful inroads to make that comeback happen on Mechabase. Just too much of a lead with that 99%.
An important lead at that as well for Nightmare, of course. They are fighting in this series for that final qualification spot. A very scary affair when you're against a team like Nightmare, who only lost a single series during the regular season. I mean, Nightmare, if you look at their previous series as well, against Space Station, it was Space Station that won that first control map. And to be fair, they've been doing that on Ilios since the beginning of Stage 1. But Nightmare, after that, just swept them. Circuit Royale, Suravasa, Runasapi, as we saw the true power of Nightmare. And honestly, the true power of Freya as well, like with Chronic on that pick. But like you pointed out, even the Cassidy against someone like Seeker still looks clean.
Well, the good news is that Sojin can't be banned again from the Nightmare side, so Seeker should be able to lock that one in for the rest of the series if required. If I'm SSG right now, thinking about the potential of taking this to a more divey map, we've seen them pick Dorado in the past as well. I think Spacestation ended up picking that one versus GK with a Diva ban, which would be pretty relevant here. It's actually going to end up being Hollywood, but again, the opportunity to maybe, at least for the B side, look towards a dive, but really throughout the entire map, I think you can just play the Orisa. I think they're confident with Kellen on the Orisa. I'm hearing good things behind the scenes about Kellen's capability on the Orisa. We're starting to see some of that through as well. But most importantly, if they can get an opportunity to remove the Freya from contention, or at least force into a Sojin matchup, that's going to be very strong for SSG, and they have that first ban as well.
A little bit of better win percentage there for SSG on Hybrid, 60 to 50 on the side of Nightmare. That, I will say, though, Escort, 88% win rate on Escort for Nightmare is... Yeah, it's kind of bonkers, actually.
Yeah, so let's go to a Hybrid first before we do anything else, I guess. I don't know where they got most of the map wins. I don't imagine that's just like... Because we haven't played all the Escorts. I think every region has their sort of favorite maps. And most teams worldwide, I believe, are playing Circuit Royale. That's probably true for NA and EU as well, certainly in Korea.
Circuit, yeah. I mean, a lot of that is
like
to do
90%
with
Circuit.
The backline pivot as well for a lot of teams, where they're just playing the Lifeweaver and the BAP, or even the Alari too, which is getting banned on maps like Circuit. We just saw it in EMEA as well. Where do you think the bans go from here? We're going to Hollywood. It's pretty dive-centric when it comes to second point, but if you're saying Kellen's Orisa is going to be that clean, like, hey, did you ban that?
Freya ban, like I said, I think Freya ban is still available for SSG. They haven't done that yet, so at some point the Freya ban will come on through. This wouldn't be a bad one to put into play already. Tank bans right now, we sort of talked about this off screen, but don't seem as impactful, because it's like, okay, if you ban Orisa, we'll play Ram. You ban Ram, we'll play Orisa. You ban Hazard, we'll play Orisa or Ram. You know, it's like you just play the other option of whatever is not banned. I think really what it comes down to is we do see the Freya ban as expected. You got to take that out. You're up against Chronic, you have to target him. So you're in a position where it's like the only time where I think the bans are more impactful is if you go to like a super heavy dive map, the likes of Gibraltar, which is in the map pool actually for NA. Then you can start to look at it like, okay, we have a main tank, you have an off tank. That means we can ban Diva, we can play Winston, and sort of force you on a Hazard, or force you on a Winston, which is maybe not as good into the matchup. So that kind of consideration comes on through. But aside from that, it does seem like targeting specific players, maybe at some point as well, looking towards the backline could be interesting. So right now, though, I think the smartest thing to do is the Freya, and they've gone for that.
Banning the Winston away from Kellen is quite interesting. See if Nightmare can come out on top like the audience has kind of predicted. About 60+% there of the audience voting for Nightmare. I honestly, I don't blame you. You can only ban Freya once in a series. Chronic's just going to continue to put off, like, okay, Chronic, oh, we can't play Freya. Oh, what a shame. Let me play Cassidy instead. Like, he's going to be pretty chill on that too.
I think the goal for Nightmare is, the reason they're using the Winston ban now is because they know that if this goes to a Escort map, which, as we saw, a huge win rate there, they can choose to just take it to like a circuit where Winston's not relevant anyway. So you may as well ban the Winston now, prevent the Winston from having sort of play for Kellen, particularly on that B point where the Winston can be good, but just to remove any sort of X factor from Spacestation away from this Hollywood. And then if Spacestation end up picking Escort, well, they'll get their first ban, and they'll probably protect the Winston, ban away your Diva, so you're not going to get the chance to ban the Winston on like a Dorado anyway. So yeah, I think banning the Winston now is probably fine as well. Just kind of forcing Orisa through one more time, and Chronic back on the cast. We talked about this, very comfortable looking on it, but Seeker back on the Soj is a huge talking point for Spacestation, because now he's on his comfort.
I think the most important thing for Spacestation has been comfort heroes. If you're looking at their regular season, like, Seeker wants to play Sojin, like, doesn't really want to play Freya. It was definitely one of the weaker Freyas in North America, which is crazy to think, Seeker being kind of weak on a DPS pick that has such explosive potential, but his Sojin is world class. So it's going to be a big difference maker, although it's going to get pushed off of high ground. Gets hindered there briefly, but now he's got Cafe control, which is going to be pretty important. It's going to be hard for, I mean, Nightmare to stay on the point now, and yeah, Painkiller ends up going down first.
Just flipping the point aside, but it's Kellen taking down Painkiller, and this entire high ground now been compromised. Chronic to follow through. Spacestation look like they'll get the cap pretty easily.
Yeah, easy clean up for Sugar Free there. Nice rotation, honestly. It feels like Nightmare almost out-rotated themselves up into that high ground. Seeker got that position for free.
The fact that they just get painkiller through, believe he maybe died on the stairs. As Nightmare were trying to rotate to the high ground. Part of the issue here is for all the cast, the inability to challenge for the range, and some of the high ground capability for Seeker to take here. Just on the slide and jump is going to be pretty strong. However, in the actual Arista matchup, I do believe the cast brings a lot of value. You can see how easy it is for Chronic, particularly on that last match, to find those headshots on the Arista. So in terms of winning these tag deals, you need to make sure that Kellen is falling over, that Painkiller staying alive and winning.
Small range disadvantage though for Chronic. I mean, can affect the fight obviously from this high ground, but Seeker's got a pretty nasty railgun when it comes to it. Oh, here comes Kellen. It's going to drag people back into that window. Lucamino does end up using that lamp. And here comes the high noon for some additional protection there, but a spear from Kellen is going to cancel that ult. And wow, this is Space Station lifted off right now on this second point. This is an easy fight win.
Just 16% away from getting beat as well. Left, just unfortunately not finding that one. Losing the first fight, didn't extend the fight long enough. It was a one and done from Space Station, so the ultimate advantage for Space Station ends up finding a lot of value here. I mean, Nightmare had ultimates, but just missing out on the critical ones that could have saved them. As right will now swap over towards his own Surge. I think you're right, just the range difference, particularly on B, is punishing. They'll have the opportunity to go cast again on C, but on this particular point, want to make sure he can challenge Seeker, who does have OC now.
Jailhouse control for Seeker. Oh, dearie me, yeah, don't want to be there. Rocket ends up recalling. CJ does end up going down, though, and Chronic dishes out a couple of railgun shots on Seeker and CJ. And shuts down Seeker's overclock. So, ult gone. -1. Press Q to die for Seeker. Space Station end up losing this fight.
And that's just huge. He just finds the flanking angle, gets a double rail shot, and Bliss is not able to use the sound barrier because you've just lost 2 members instantly. It's like, wow, my team is popping beside me, and what are you supposed to do now? You're not going to go for a 3-man beat. It's a bit rough for Space Station. Exactly what Nightmare needed. Like instant swap, instant success. Now Nightmare finally taking the heels in a little bit for the defense.
Ronnie's just trying to find heads right now. Spot Seeker. Seeker doesn't end up dashing away, though. Again, they're trying to flip the map, Avril, and they've done so quite successfully, although Seeker caught out. There comes Chronic down from the rafters. Nice little double kill, and I think Bliss is feeling the same thing as he felt last fight, to be honest. My team is already dead, so we cannot even use the beat to win the fight.
And Space Station were a little bit split there as well. It's not like Bliss was with the team and they were hard committing as 5. Space Station looking for different positions to play through. But you just see Seeker on the low ground, on the opposite of the high. Like you see the low ground, kind of towards the spawn of where Nightmare was. And it's just so easy for Chronic to slide off backwards, find that shot, and another spare setup as well, coming through from PK to allow Chronic an easy shot for the secondary. So another 2K from Chronic, and another situation where Bliss just can't enable this beat. And at this point, you might even end up having to save the beat to counter that.
Dude, these Lucios have had these beats since like Overwatch 1 is all I'm saying. Alright, well, window open up for Lucamino on the high ground. It's gonna cause Space Station to drop and just burn more time off that time bank. 2 minutes to go. Space Station trying to make their way under the veranda now.
I think it's hard to get value from that angle if you're Lucamino. In Korea, I see a lot more teams play the opposite high ground across the bridge and play the window from that side instead. It's so easy for Space Station to disengage, but Kellen's 1 HP again. Space Station, be careful.
All right, well, there's Chronic with an overclock. Takes down Sugar Free instantly. Ooh, almost gets the Ajax on Bliss. All good, though, because Chronic, he's still shooting. Gets 2 kills with the overclock. Terror Surge from Kellen is going to help finish off the kill onto the Sojourn. But still, the spawn advantage here cannot be understated for Nightmare as CJ and Bliss end up going down. And Space Station's first point cap looking like prehistoric history right now as they're getting demolished on this second point.
Just turn the chapter over and it's Chronic's day to win again. This guy is on one today. Unbelievable performances across the board. We've seen what he did on Frey in that first round. And then coming through on cast for Mecha Base and the Sojourn as well. If Seeker isn't finding these wins on the Sojourn, this should be the winning matchup. Chronic should be far weaker than Seeker in this matchup, and yet Chronic is really showing how it's done right now. And Nightmare looking indomitable. 1 minute left to play through. Nightmare at a good spot. Space Station nearly out of time.
Mr. Consistent though, Sugar Free has got that pulse bomb. Surely the difference maker. Wow, I say that just gets dominated by Lucamino. That's another big reset.
At least they got it quickly. You want those fast resets coming through, but it just costs positioning.
Oh, good pick.
Right down is huge. Okay, this opportunity. Sugar Free's back now. Finally, time for Space Station to move up.
They've got to get Painkiller off this high ground though. It's been so difficult. Even Bliss trying to get there, maybe get the boot. Terror Surge, Pulse Bomb from Chronic, steals the Mega Health Pack away, and Space Station are scattered after all. Seeker with 1 kill with the Overclock, but they traded Lucio's right now, but he needs more kills. Kellen also ends up falling, so once again, up to Seeker to try and be that difference maker that Space Station need, but he's shut down by Lucamino. It's 10 seconds to go, and Space Station now struggling to get onto this point. Sugar Free's Pulse Bomb goes wide, CJ is dead, and that is where the payload is going to end. You can't fight into this as Lucamino. One farewell gift there to Sugar Free, one burst of that rifle, and that is that. Round 1 complete with Space Station. Well, close to that second point, but importantly, it's not getting second. Nightmare with an unbelievable comeback there on second.
It's a hero hole coming through Luke Mino as well, multi-fragging on that final fight. Importantly, we start to see Sugar Free getting taken down a number of times in Avrov. That was the first reset. Luke Mino onto Sugar Free. Traded then with Chronic finally going down, giving potential for Space Station to walk on through. But still, PK holding strong, Luke Mino holding strong, getting the frags while his DPS is still coming back from spawn. I think just unfortunately, this map a little bit slower for Sugar Free. We saw Space Station get a lot of success where unfortunately, you know, didn't quite get to play through the Freya situation for Seeker adequately in the opening rounds, and even on the later rounds we saw the cast. Okay, it's still Sugar Free though that has his moments to shine. If he's not getting flashbang headshot coming through from Chronic, Sugar Free's pulling through Space Station big, but on this Hollywood attack, outside of A, we saw on B, so many times he got shut down, so many times Seeker got shut down as well. It's just been a rough one. And now Nightmare looking very strong. Let's see how they do on their attack with a bit of a listen-in.
I'll probably just play 3 minutes, I'm not gonna
lie. Our team position depends on where the heuristic is, so just call where we see heuristic walking.
Yeah. If I see her going stairs, are you guys able to flip to top right on their high ground?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right top.
It's fair. Blue.
Yo, Ori.
Very stuff, very stuff.
Same phone. I don't see Trey.
I'm swinging mid. 3, 2, 1, swinging mid.
Should I?
Ori's still server.
I'm walking bottom left. Blocking straight left. Prelude left, I'm blocking them. Yeah, you guys can take a match.
I'm still shooting Ori, on bottom right.
They wanna flip up. Yeah, right. I'm in all the way.
2, 1, swinging mid. Pushing mid. Giving me the map, they're giving me the map.
Blue one, I'm
Pushing stairs.
Surge behind you, weak.
Pushing stairs.
Flip, boys. Surge blue one, play left. Help you kick corner.
Going stairs.
Okay, I'm getting my cross. Playing left for now.
Shooting Ori, yeah. Carry one.
Ori one, bottom right.
I'm going here. She's above. Karen.
Good cat, come back.
Take a breath.
My Chronic is looking fire right now, straight fire, honestly. This guy is ridiculous on the Sojourn currently. I don't say that lightly either. Seeker, kind of a god on the character himself, but kind of getting rolled by Chronic. A final attempt of a push here by Space Station to get onto the point, but this window is the best position possible for Nightmare. That's an ult trade as well. They ended up using Rush to try and get onto the point, try and get maybe a pick, just not to be. 5 minutes in the time back for Nightmare, and they're looking for punishes.
You look how desperate Space Station is to try and hold on to A, because they know that if this goes to B, the likelihood of them winning starts to decrease massively. They still do, they being Nightmare, having to push to the end of B to actually finish off this map and find a 2-0 lead. But what an opening round coming through. Seeker, he gets the first pick onto Rocket, but he trades his own life. We see him solo trying to take stairs into the middle high ground and just gets punished by Chronic, who converts into further kills. And you said it already, Chronic is just looking so damn good.
Got the overclock as well. Seeker, you better duck, my son.
God.
Oh. Just lasered. I mean, there's just nothing stopping Chronic right now. Sugar Free at least claims one, but dude, this is over, man. Mental warfare? Check. Emotional damage? Check. More damage than you can ever expect? Check. Like, Nightmare have got it all right now. There's 4 minutes in the time bank left. They've got 3 ults to do it with, and Space Station, they're looking worse for wear.
If the Freya ban doesn't work out for you, what have you really got left in the tank? You got a lot of ultimates, though. That's the good news. OC for Seeker. They can see him pop off. He wants to target it. He wants Chronic down.
He doesn't receive the sound barrier there, but a sound barrier from both sides is going to keep the high ground alive for Nightmare as they snipe Seeker away again. A terror surge for both Aristas. A nice little recall from Rocket. He lands a pulse bomb onto Kellen as Chronic gets another one. And Rocket cleans up the rest. Nightmare, match point versus Space Station.
And maybe the most important match point here as well, Jack, because we are looking at qualification to mid-season championship. I mean, look, life on the line here. Nightmare 2-0 up. Space Station now forced to reverse sweep in the series to at least make the top 3. That's the cutoff. And Nightmare, we knew, looked strong coming into the playoffs. Maybe some doubts of what happened in that Extinction game. Going to 5, you start to think, is this Nightmare slipping off a little bit? Are the stocks rising for other teams? And a potential now for Nightmare to miss out on mid-season, but instead it's going to be SSG, who they went to China, they went to Hangzhou. It was Liquid that missed out early in Stage 1. Liquid have qualified now. Is one of the partner teams from NA still going to miss out onto the major? Space Station have so much work to do in the series.
And it looked pretty good last week. And like you said, Extinction going to a map 5 versus Nightmare. I think that's just a classic NA Overwatch moment. You just go to 5 maps being one of the strongest teams against a team that you expect aren't going to make it to the major, that don't really have a contention in the playoffs. It felt weird, but it felt right, is what it felt like. Crazy stuff from Nightmare. I mean, Rocket on the Tracer just doing work, but Chronic front and center every single fight, shutting down Seeker on Freya, Cassidy, and now the Sojourn. We're going to a map number 3, Space Station's choice again, but where do you go here from bans? Because you can't ban the Freya anymore. So Chronic, if you want to jump over to that, hey, we'll go back to Old Comfort. And looking at the map pool as well, God, it's going to feel good.
You can't ban anything from... At this point, I don't think there's a single ban you can come through that's going to impact Chronic, because we thought, okay, on paper, we know he's going to be the better Freya, not just in this series, but in the region. Chronic has proven himself to be a top-tier Freya player in NA. That's part of Nightmare's success on this stage, honestly. Of course, the rest of the team is going to add to that, but when you have a dominant Freya, it's going to make your life so much easier. Colosseo will be the map choice coming on through. But at this point, Freya, definitely very strong on this particular map. Super long sight lines. Sojin can still be pretty strong as well. Possibility for Cass, but you are going to lose out in the sort of the mid duel there. Some of the high ground coming through on that defense as well. Really powerful for the long sight line. So I don't know if we're really going to see the Cass anymore, but Seeker struggling in this matchup versus Chronic. To me, the moment where the door starts to get shut, or maybe was shut, is you see the first sort of A-point battle. Seeker's on the Soj. You got the Cassidy from Chronic. They lose that A-point, and then the instant swap after, I believe, there's one more fight of Cass, and he swaps over to Sojin, and guess what? He comes back on Soj. What is the first thing he does? He shuts down Seeker's OC. Press Q, instant die, and then he gets a secondary pick after that. He just swapped. It's a fresh swap. Nothing to point on. No ultimate, nothing. Having to build the energy on the rail from scratch. First thing he does is shut down OC. That's disgusting. That set the tone for the entire map, and it may set the tone now for the rest of the series, which might just be one map.
Yeah, a reverse sweep required now for SSG to make it to that mid-season. I mean, look, Team Liquid, GK, they've made it. They're chilling. They're waiting for that final slot, right? Get that extra prize money and claim that trophy. But Space Station, what a strange run they've had. Feels like Nightmare, you know, a slight blip in the radar against Extinction twice. I don't know what's going on there. They've got some sort of pact to always go to map 5, I suppose, but Nightmare have looked very consistent. The only team really taking them to the limits, GK, and no shocker there at all. But like Space Station, we're expecting big things in the playoffs. I mean, now is the chance to really get your head in the game. You're going to need it. Sugar Free is doing a lot of work. I wonder if a targeting of the backline maybe to help out even the supports for Space Station in this matchup, because Colosseo is a weird one. Where do you expect the backlines are going to pivot?
I think we're still in mostly, for this patch, Lucio Kiriko looks really strong to me, but I think looking where Nightmare have been, they've been solid on the Lucio BAP. And Lucio BAP, particularly in the Orisa matchup, assuming we're going to keep playing Orisa here, which could actually get banned out, might end up being the smart ban from Space Station. We'll see how that one goes. Maybe not, actually, because I think Kellen wants to play it, but given the Orisa, that just feels really nice into that one. I really appreciate where the Lamp comes into play. Suzu from Kiriko is nice, but Lamp having just a little bit longer to play through. Okay, it's going to be the bad. So that has been one of the differences, though, right? We consider the fact that it's been mostly Nightmare playing the BAP. SSG have been playing Kiriko the whole time. They want to force us into a Lucio Kiriko, which I think is going to change things up at least a little bit. Will impact the Orisa matchup. But look at where the other ban comes through. It's going to be on the Tracer, because where has been the X factor for SSG to sort of get them into a winning position, even if they're losing? It's been Sugar Free. This has been the guy that has still been having an insane game even if SSG are winning. So if you take him away from his best hero in this matchup, the hero that won massively in the Season 17 patch notes when a lot of other things didn't really get impacted that much, you really have to start thinking this is going to go towards Genji. And in that matchup, we'll see if Sugarfree's going to have the same impact. I think he's still an amazing player and will have impact on Genji, but certainly when you look at the Tracer battle, Rocket was going to be behind Sugarfree, and now you've removed that factor from SSG.
Feels like the final nail in the coffin, though, with those bans. SSG, they got a reverse sweep here, Avril. Colosseo is the map choice. Ban in the BAP as we load in potentially the final map of this series. The winner here will face either Geeke or Team Liquid, who are in the upper bracket final, and that will be in a moment after this series. And the winner here also books their ticket to that mid-season. It's a heavy, heavy spot, and it's going to be weighing on your mind as well, Avril. Like, you've made it this far into the playoffs. Nightmare ended up getting knocked down by Team Liquid, who they won against in the regular season. And then Nightmare's your opponent. Like, oh, okay, great. Fantastic. We do not want to be here, man.
Nightmare, they came second in the regular season for Stage 2. Right. And I think, you know, if you just looked at those results, you would assume that Nightmare would have a pretty clear run through. Really, the only thing that sort of throws a wrench into the works is that 5 mapper versus Extinction. But as we look at the series, man, I don't think that even matters anymore. It's a brand new week, a brand new opportunity for Nightmare, for Space Station. They really need to come through big. It's got to be Symmetra locked in. I thought maybe Symmetra just to rotate and get an early push through onto the point. But no, we're going to have to actually play through the sim now. Haven't seen a lot of Nightmare sim play, but we do know, at least in the EU, it's big meta.
Yeah, huge part of the meta for EMEA. You're really good against the Arista too. It's just so easy to charge that full beam. TP as well, away from things like the Terror Surge if you can pull it off. Here comes the push, but Seeker, okay. Confidence building kill there on to Chronic. It's also really hard to dive this backline as well for Nightmare. It's got to be said, like, the Sim turrets, they did do a lot of damage, Avril, but you can TP away, you're going to get charged up on, like, it's tough. Lep and Lucamino end up coming up with kills for Nightmare, as both Aristas end up falling as well. As Space Station turn, tail, and running.
You have a full DPS advantage, Seeker on the Soja.
Lucamino gets another
specialty, and now Lucamino's got a couple of extras, and you have to start talking about the fact that I mentioned Lucamino on the BAF on Hollywood as being able to save the day when Chronic's not there, but here, with the BAF gone, onto Kiriko, Chronic dead. Once again, who is it to save the day? It's Lucamino once more.
Definitely one of the best supports in NA. Nightmare looking good, honestly. You can have Rush here super early. Just that damage, those kills from Nightmare, they can really force Space Station into an odd spot. They're not going to use the Rush, but Sugarfree still takes down the Kiriko. No Swift Step, I'd imagine, but Sugarfree now out of cooldowns, has to dash back to that Mega Health Pack. And this Rush not exactly going Nightmare's way. Not like they envisioned it anyway.
Really massive from Space Station, given that, okay, they lose one support, but they hold on to double support ultimates here. 1-for-1 trade, PK gone. Far more impactful. Space Station can still find some ability to push, especially with Seeker taking Chronic as well.
See CJ trying to heal the Kellen through the wall there. Ends up teleporting to him and saving his life, but Nightmare, okay, they do lose control of the bot. But here comes Space Station, double support ult, and they've got this Blade coming up. Beat Blade combo. It's going to be scary.
It's also the fact that Lep is still lagging behind. Doesn't quite have beat yet to counter either of these two support ultimates. Notably, you also mentioned the Blade coming on through, but just a single Kasuna Rush, anything, that has to be in position to counter. The wall from Rocket could be interesting.
Nice dirty push. Nice little spear there from Seeker. Sound Barrier connects with Sugarfree. Just slashing away. Using that Kitsune Rush attack speed to its full effect. Both Terror Surges on the point. Kellen lets go his a little bit earlier. Does end up getting a Suzu there from CJ to keep him alive in the fight. Space Station losing control of the bot for the time being as Nightmare trying to chase them down now. Kellen, no CDs available. Just that spear spin to try and get out alive. Scared of the teleporter, of course, but a quick reset into the mid.
You see the teleporter as well, just removing targets. Sugarfree at the end of the Blade couldn't find anyone to slash. The extra addition of the wall coming through as the OCs will be traded now. Who's going to get better?
Almost frame perfect. Oh, Seeker! To the skies, both Soja and Go, but it's Chronic now who's 6 feet under. Oh, what a shot on Lucamino as well. Jeez. All right, Seeker. Fully talked up now as they push that bot. They got the lead and they're going to extend it.
I mean, earlier you saw that first opening kill from Seeker onto Chronic. You called it confidence building. Well, this is now confidence fully built. OC trades. Go Seeker's way. Not going to allow Chronic to take away another one of his OCs like we saw on Hollywood. Space Station need this. will get the flip. It's an early one, only 20 meters for Nightmare. Space Station now wanting to threaten that cap.
Rocket trying to challenge in this high ground. Space Station, they're so close this cap, yeah. Kellen does end up going down, though. A little spear spin dislodges his position, so no cap for Space Station, not for now at least, as they do end up trying to back off, but Chronic in hot pursuit.
Kellen was so far away from the scene, like he was actually on the high ground, on top of the bridge, moving in towards Nightmare spawn. Where were the rest of Space Station? They were roughly around the payload. It just seemed like a bit of a solo mission from Kellen. Disconnect coming through from Space Station. And that'll cost them, it'll prevent them from being able to find that cap. And we'll talk about the fact that Rocket moved over to Genji as well. I had some questions about how experienced Nightmare were on this Symmetra. Talked about this with Matt when he and I were casting EMEA last week, but I don't think you can just go to Symmetra unless you're a very well-practiced Symmetra team.
Rush for both CJ and Lucamino now as the Terror Surge pulls Kellen in, but goes golden to avoid any of that damage. Now Kellen looking for a big Terror Surge himself, focusing down Painkiller to get the final ticks of damage in. Rocket just chasing out Sugar Free. Although look at this, a sound barrier is going to force Nightmare all the way forward now. Space Station have already lost Bliss, so Kellen's ability to get out of the fight is cut basically to zero. As Nightmare, they're going to push on Avril, and this is an important fight to win as well. They're finding these late staggers. This might just be a checkpoint.
Yeah, the late staggers are very important. Lip going down here is going to cause some problems because there's still 10 minutes left to go. Space Station can play the 4 versus 4. Lip might be on a Lucio, but consider how far away he has to travel. Lucamino, the only healer here.
Good beat. Really nice beat there. They got on the point just before the lead is taken by Nightmare, and they insta-kill Lucamino.
You can't rotate out of that one. You've got no Sim TP now. Lep's still on his way back, so you don't have the speed to remove yourself from combat. Nightmare just kind of have to receive that beat, end up losing the fight. No flip to come on through. Still putting a time to play on. 4 minutes and 30. Just goes to show that even a singular kill onto only Lep makes a huge amount of difference in this push.
Slowly resetting onto Nightmare's high ground. Blade, overclock. No sound barrier combo here for Nightmare. The same could be said for Space Station. They're basically just waiting for someone to make a play here. Our Nightmare. Oh, okay, yeah. Don't want to be that high up.
You have CJ a decent lead onto Lucamino, and Nightmare not comfortable here. They still have to go for the blitz. They're so behind now. CJ's found ultimate. Lucamino lagging.
Yeah, Lucamino does teleport away, so a brief stun there, but all good. There's Kiriko at the end of the day. Here comes the Blade, though, over the top for Sugar Free. Nice little defect on the Sojourn, an instant kill onto Chronic. Now chases the Lucio. Easy slashing for Sugar Free. Gets the reset on the Lucio, now looking for the Genji.
Oh, Rocket.
Nice little kill by Rocket, but oh, Painkiller manages to finish him off anyway. Nightmare now stealing the bots. Heroics from Sugar Free there, finding 2 kills in the fight, yet they still lose.
Yeah, master to shut down Chronic, and it's also Chronic's OC gone, but Rocket also pulled Blade, and the rest of Nightmare push on forward, find the capability of a late Hitsuna rush from Lucamino, talking about the fact that he lagged in the trade versus CJ, but survives long enough to still pull through, collect the backline. Nightmare win the overall fight, and now in position to potentially go for flip again.
Deflect on the spear there. Overclock for Seeker. He's trying to chase double slide Sojourns, both looking at each other. Just in the backline right now, a little 1v1 if you will, as Nightmare. They're controlling the bot, or at least for the time being. Seeker shuts down Rocket in that 2v1. Seeker finds yet another kill, but it is Chronic who shuts Seeker down eventually. Scrappy fights, Avril. It's like it's one little 2v2 and then one little 3v3. Very segmented fights.
I mean, we just got, what is it, a 1 meter gap between the teams, 0.98. That could decide. The next flip could genuinely decide this one. We're going to go into OT, essentially tied up here. Kellen holding on to ult, but look at the supports here. Bliss nearly on for his beat. Nightmare have nothing to respond with. Assuming Bliss can get this one down cleanly. He did go down to half HP. Should be a decent one for Space Station. How well has he read the situation? He's read it that he has advantage, and they get Chronic.
All right, an instant kill onto Chronic there as the sound barrier was put in, and okay. Painkiller knows just dying on point right now. Just buy as much time as humanly possible for the team. But that win is going to be good for Space Station. They reset in the mid. They got Rush, Blade, Terror Surge. They're looking so good. This left sound barrier has to go just ginormous.
Yeah, well, Lucamino's about to catch up as well, so should be the delay long enough for Lucamino to once again get the Kitsuna Rush. The one problem I have with Bliss ulting there, despite him having advantage, and you're right, it is a good win, but he had to beat in his own territory, which means you're just beating and winning the fight to take control of bot, not to convert meterage, which needs to happen now. Space Station have to win this fight to actually get the cap.
All right, right, both rushes on top of each other pretty much. Sound barrier him from Let, but Painkiller doesn't receive it, I don't think. I think he was behind shield, or maybe it just focused down quick enough for that overhealth not to mean squat. Spacestation going to extend their lead now to 60 meters and maybe even a checkpoint in their future as well as Seeker fights in his own disruptor shot and wins the fight, bursts his rocket, dashes all the way back to the mega health pack there, Avril, but doesn't manage to get there in time as a straight kunai from Lucamino tags the Sojourn. As Nightmare controller bot once more, but with a minute to go and 4 meters behind, Nightmare, they need to win this next fight to secure the series.
I mean, it's a game of inches. They need to win the next fight, or this is going to go to OT, where anything can still happen. I do think this is going to be a very, very dynamic OT. It's going to be a DPS battle between the ultimates, but I do think X Factor here, Painkiller, looking over towards a Terror Surge. If he pulls Sugar Free mid-dash during Dragon Blade, that's going to ruin the Blade.
Can he kill Painkiller real quick? Rocket. Well, here comes the Blade. Whoa! Rocket insta-kills Bliss. That's a double kill as well. Seeker ends up going down, resets on the high ground, and Sugar Free pulls the Blade himself. Chronic dead, left down. Sugar Free and Rocket just going blow for blow, band for band on the Genjis, and now just staring at each other. A nice little kill from Lucamino, though, as Nightmare end up coming up big in the fight and take the lead. They convert the lead, 18 seconds to go. Space Station's chances of making it to the mid-season slipping through their hands at the final hurdle.
Well, they get the cap here, so Nightmare, if they get a couple of extra meters after the cap, they want to prevent the possibility of a draw. Yes, if they don't, then we might see a draw. They do get half a meter. Now the Terror Surge.
A dash there from the Genji, try and get back in time. His Sound Barrier is going to make sure they sustain for at least a little bit of time on the point, but this overclock is just too good. Rocket ends up taking down Seeker as Chronic.
It's Nightmare.
It just ends them. It's done. Nightmare are going to take the map, take the series, knock Space Station out, and book their ticket to the mid-season championships. Nightmare, oh, it's not one of them. It's an absolute daydream for the squad.
Beautiful stuff coming through for Nightmare in the overtime, finding that eventual win. Rocket pulling through on the Blade, massive multi-kill, and guess what? Once the sound barrier started dropping, Sugar Free unfortunately didn't catch the Queen HP on the beat. He was the first one down via Chronic, who, in my mind, absolute player of the match. I'm sure he will actually get the player match, but if he doesn't, he was my MVP from the first map. I called it very early on, Jack. I'm looking at that map 1 gameplay, I'm like, ooh, Chronic's on something today. This is getting spicy, but I don't know if I expected a 3-0 SSG. They looked still like one of the better teams in this meta. They were on an upswing. They were improving as a team. Kellen improving on the Orisa. That matchup, the Orisa, looking decent for Kellen. Sugar Free finding the right timing on a Tracer buff patch, but a Tracer ban, pulling this into a Genji matchup. And once Rocket moved to the Genji from the Symmetra, things got a lot better. Note that the Symmetra to start for Nightmare ended up costing them, at least in my opinion, a bit of a slower momentum, bit of a slower start to Colosseo. But once we match up on the Genjis, things started to slowly move into Nightmare's way until we got to the win. What a brilliant one. Hunter said all they had to do is get past Leopard Luke Mito, or apparently Leopard Luke Mito, just a little bit too much for SSG to handle.
Yeah, like you said, a 3-0 for Nightmare. The next opponent, GK or Team Liquid. That is the next series after this. But what an unbelievable run. I mean, only losing a single series in the regular season as well. Congratulations to Nightmare. They're going to be your third team from NA, making it to that mid-season. We're going to jump over to the desk to get their reactions.
A dominant showing. Oh goodness. Yeah, I don't think we had that one scribbled down quite like that. And I, even though my internet kind of failed me, I did set this one up saying that Nightmare are the team on a downward trajectory. You know, with the meta shifts, we thought that what made them so strong in the early stages of Stage 2, e.g. Chronic on Freya and like the Juno Brief backline and whatnot, that this might be an issue for them now in the playoffs. Well, it turns out nothing matters. The recent matches were a fluke. They're doing A-okay. Chronic can't be banned out. GG go next. He's been on a tear. I mean, the entire team was, but Chronic especially, he was playing on another level today.
Disgusting, yeah. No, it absolutely was. I mean, Chronic came out and made a statement here from, even like I had said before we went into this, that it seemed like Nightmare was on a downward spiral, but I think they heard me and they said everything else that was necessary in this match alone that would make me eat my words.
I'm kind of stunned, to be honest.
Right?
I did not expect this to be a 3-0, and I know I bet everything on SSG. I vouch for them. I was like, SSG, this is their tournament. They're the underdog. They're going to secure their ticket. They might even fight for the grand final spot, and they just fell flat here against Nightmare. I'm pretty stunned, to be honest. It was Chronic just absolutely destroyed. Like, it was not even funny. That was an insane hit scan gap. And I think it's a bit disappointing to see SSG go out, you know, playing this Lucio Kiri. Something obviously happened with the implementation of the patch, teams moving away from stuff like the Brig BAP, because it really felt like SSG, they found their groove the last couple of weeks, and they had some decent versatility. Sometimes they bring in Squid, play double flex support, but it was back to the Lucio Kiri here for the final weekend of Stage 2, and they just got swept. That was brutal.
That was brutal indeed, but this is giving Nightmare an opportunity to just continue the dominant performance that they had in the regular season, right? Nightmare has been all the way on top, and it really was just the last week and a half where it looked a little shaky. Clearly not the case anymore. So I'm excited to potentially see, for example, a rematch against Team Liquid that actually knocked them down into the lower bracket here. So that could be an exciting one, because the Nightmare we've seen today looks like a very different Nightmare from last week. So 3-0 dominant performance, and we now have Rocket joining us for a quick chat after this victory. So Rocket, welcome to the show.
Amazing.
See,
What's going on, guys?
Teamwork in every way possible. Yeah, what is going on? You guys, I don't know, the routine's on point. You guys looked just so dominant. Johnny was not a believer in you. I'm just throwing him under the bus here.
Whoa, come on, man.
What did you... I know. He was like all the way SSG, but he eats his words because you guys were rocking it today. What changed? What happened?
Hear this, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it'd be in trouble if everyone could hear that right now.
Okay, yeah. Don't say anything.
Talk to us about the preparation for this week. Looking at last week specifically, we were all starting to be really worried with the meta shifts. It just kind of looked like you guys lost that fire. It just didn't look as comfortable. Today, different story. What changed?
Well, I think firstly, and I'm not going to get too deep into this, but the Tracer damage buff definitely played a little role in our success, at least in scrims and loading in. I think that last week match was like a product of us just getting to this boot camp, which we're all at right now, which, I mean, is a huge help. But, you know, we were all jet lagged. Not all of us were here, so the whole entire set was kind of just iffy. But, I mean, the second we had that week to prep, all it took was 1 week to get us from, you know, that level to how dominant we were today. And I have to give full credit to the Nightmare org to set this up and, you know, get us all together here for this match.
I love to hear that. That's awesome.
That's amazing to hear that you now have that opportunity to be there alongside one another. And, you know, you've already solidified that third place, which is fantastic. That's like checkbox 1, you know, in your trajectory. Now, with the rest of this weekend and like leading up to that, what is the mindset now, at least for tomorrow, looking to try and face off against one of these other teams who've put you in this position, having to look for that run back from the lower bracket?
I think everyone's just excited to have that stress off our shoulders. You know, I think tomorrow is going to be, you're going to see a similar version of us today. But with all that like pressure off our shoulders, I really think we could take it to DK and Liquid. You know, we're going to celebrate tonight and show up tomorrow and do our best. And I honestly think if we play like we did today, there's no doubt in my mind that we can take the whole tournament.
Yeah, well-deserved celebration for sure with the performance you guys just put on. I mean, seriously.
All right, Rocket. I know this is all about you guys, the players, you know, achieving this, celebrating this moment. But Nightmare, Flak, qualifying for another tournament here. Can you just ask Flak for me? Like, does he have any words he wants to share? You don't have to give.
Flak, come here. Put the headset on. They want to talk about the success of the org.
Aw.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, Flak? You did it again.
How are you doing, Johnny?
You have anything to say? What's going on?
I mean, end of last stage left us standing. There a lot of bigger orgs came in, but the thing about North America that I find really special compared to a lot of other regions is it's not as done and dealt with as people really think it is. There's so much talent that people overlook in this region, and every single one of these guys gave everything to make sure that this was the moment that they needed to show up, and all of them gave it everything they took this week, and it was really incredible to see them come together with this boot camp, and I'm extremely impressed, but I knew they could do it.
That's awesome, man. That's freaking awesome. Good for you. I'm happy for you, dude. I'm happy for all of you.
That's right. Well, thank you so much. Also, he can't hear us now, but yeah, thanks everyone who joined the interview. Don't let them party too hard tonight, right? Because we need to be in best shape tomorrow.
I'm gonna whoop some people in Mario Party most likely, and then we'll call it a night. We'll see.
Perfect. Team bonding exercise right there. Thank you all so much. Congratulations and best of luck in your matches tomorrow.
Thank you, guys.